In this video, I'm going to give you some more advice for solving the first three cross edges, which is probably the hardest part of the Yao method. So now we've come to solving the first three cross edges, and for most people who use the Yao method, this is probably what they would say is the hardest part, most difficult part of solving 4x4 with the Yao method. Because there's so many pieces, you've only solved 8 center pieces, so there's, the edges could be absolutely anywhere, and you're only looking for 2 at a time all around a cube. So it's quite difficult to actually look ahead during this step. The first tip that I can give you is something I mentioned in the previous video. Whilst you're solving your first 2 centers, if an edge pops up that's already solved and it's very easy to preserve it, then definitely do so, but only if it doesn't lead you to actually restrict yourself in terms of solving very much at all. The next thing is you actually can allow yourself to turn a little bit more slowly whilst you're building these first 3 cross edges, because you actually won't be using too many moves overall to solve these. The most important thing for these is being able to look ahead and find pieces quite easily, and solving them efficiently should be relatively easier than the look ahead component. So in terms of solving edges efficiently, you rarely want to be using any more than 6 moves to solve each individual cross edge into the cross face. So what I mean by that is, if you're using more than 6 moves to insert a cross edge or for any particular case, then you'll probably want to reevaluate exactly how you're solving that case. Make sure you're solving these first 3 cross edges on the left-hand side. I've seen people do it on the bottom face, and I think that's okay, but it also means you have to rotate after you solve your first 3 cross edges before you do your last 4 centers. So I think it's better to just do it on the left and get familiar with that as soon as possible. The actual solving component should be pretty intuitive. You can keep it very free form and quite flexible. The only thing is you want to focus on being quite efficient. So as I said before, you don't want to be using more than 6 moves to actually insert a cross edge into the left-hand side. So let's just do an example. So here I'll solve these 2 first and count the number of moves. So 1, 2 to set them up, 3, 4 to solve them, and then 5 to insert it into the left. And let's go for the blue and white. So 1, 2, 3, 4 to actually insert that. And let's find a few more. So we'll go for the white and orange. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5 to insert that one. So if you're using more than 6 moves, just reevaluate how you're solving them. One method that people sometimes do is actually solve their cross incorrectly, and then when they insert their 4th cross edge, they correctly position all of the edges. So here we have the white and green adjacent to the white and blue edge. This is just my personal opinion, but in my opinion, it's probably better and easier to just solve the edge pieces correctly relative to one another and insert the final cross edge into its position correctly relative to the others. The reason for that being is that personally doing this sort of thing takes too much thinking for me, especially when I'm trying to concentrate on my color scheme, pairing up all of these edges as well as solving the rest of the centers, and it's probably a little bit easier to actually mess up something like this when you're doing a speed solve.